As the nice lady said, my name is Jim Foley. None of you know me, and I don't know you. And I think I probably need to qualify my presence here by saying that I've not been a part of this conference in the past or any of the workshops or anything that's taken place before. So if I bomb in this presentation, hopefully you'll take pity on me. I want to thank, first of all, Facilitator Terry Morton for her thoughtfulness and courtesy in inviting the mining interest to participate in this conference. I'd also like to thank the organizers of this conference and the organizations involved for allowing me to have a part in it. Since I'm relatively new to the Klamath Basin, I really appreciate this invitation. To be perfectly honest, I wouldn't have even known about it or the effects that it could have on my interests, except that somebody took the time to tell me about it. And I encourage everybody here to include people that you think need to be included and are not included up to this point. I'm not going to take a lot of time because I don't have a lot of time to introduce myself to you, but since I'm unknown to most of you, I have information in my booth at the back. It's the mining booth regarding my background in both mining as well as property rights. I think the most important thing I can impart to you today is that it's my belief that it's extremely important that no stakeholders be left out of these conferences. Every effort must be made to identify and include those stakeholders who may still not be included. I find myself in this position. I think there's a multitude of interests and people in our society that don't realize what is going on at these conferences and how it might impact them. One case in point as far as stakeholders or interests being left out is the very large and active mining community in our midst, comprised of individual miners, companies, associations, and a very large support industry, such as mining supply manufacturers, stores, as well as the normal supply sources associated with any other industry that brings tourist-type activity to our communities. Food stores, restaurants, RV parks, medical facilities, and even housing. There are people that like to mine in our communities in the summertime, and they buy summer homes. So the support industry for suction dredge mining in our communities is quite extensive. It's not something that's real visible to the public. You might have driven down a river and seen a suction dredge miner in the water and not had a clue as to what he was doing, because what he's doing is underwater and it's not seen. Well, there's a suction dredge miner, and I don't think for the most part the public and other stakeholders really have a concept of what is going on or the extent that this industry extends to. As far as the benefits, there are many benefits of suction dredge mining, although we find as miners that there are a lot of individuals, stakeholders, agencies that don't really have a concept that suction dredge mining has an actual benefit to our communities, and there are benefits to our rivers and our watersheds also. I'd like to take a moment to show you some of the benefits as far as economic benefits. There's a 1994 State of California Environmental Impact Report on suction dredge mining that estimated that a typical gold dredger spends around $9,000 per year on equipment, gasoline, repairs, maintenance, motels, groceries, restaurants, and other forms of recreation, and occasionally medical services. The Waldo Mining District over the hill in Oregon, in southwest Oregon, surveyed its members in 2001, and they came up with very similar results to this California study. Other studies have shown that people that come from out of state, and this is just out of state miners, to suction dredge in our basin average spending $3,600 a month in the state that they're visiting. I think it's pretty easy to see that there's an economic benefit to mining that a lot of people don't realize exists. I'm going to make a blanket statement here, and I'm going to have to explain it a little bit later, probably because I was rushed in my presentation. You know, when you're dropped into a situation like this where you are asked to come and participate in a solution-based conference, it's a little bit difficult when you're in a position like I'm in, where it's difficult to present a solution to a problem that you don't know is there. And because I have not participated in these conferences before, I don't know whether there have been problems presented that might affect the mining community or problems presented by stakeholders regarding mining. So I have a difficult time in my preparation addressing solutions. I believe I do have one solution that I'd like to present. I'm sort of apologizing for the rambling nature of this presentation. So I'm going to make possibly drop a bombshell here by making a blanket statement that I will explain later. And I'm going to say that miners have a federal statutory right to practice the activity that they have. And I'm going to qualify that by saying, you know, we use the term right in many different ways that is not quite applicable in certain situations. But as far as a miner's right is concerned, I'd like to show you a contrast. A fisherman goes down and buys a fishing permit and he fishes. He doesn't have a right to fish. He fishes at the pleasure of regulatory agency or government. A hiker doesn't have a right, a federal statutory right to hike. A hunter doesn't have a right to hunt. But the fact of the matter is that miners do have a codified federal statutory right to do what they do. No stakeholder in this basin has a stronger right than do miners. It goes without saying that in any action that has the capacity to affect people's constitutional, civil, or statutory rights, every effort must be made to allow those with legal rights to participate in any action that may affect them. And I say that because there's a lot of actions that have gone before historically that have affected mining that miners have not had a say in. I was involved for 2 years in processes in Central Oregon that affected the whole state of Oregon, and miners' issues were not taken into consideration, and yet regulations affected them and impacted them in sometimes very detrimental manner. The federal government, as well as the state of Oregon and possibly other states, have recognized and passed legislation to guarantee that a citizen's right to mine will not be affected without the knowledge of or the input from that person or that miner. I'd like to read you a short excerpt from one such resolution, and it's not a resolution, it's an Oregon law that was passed in 1999, and it's Senate Bill 1152, and it reads, "The Legislative Assembly finds that prospecting, small-scale mining, and recreational mining are important parts of the heritage of the state of Oregon. They provide economic benefits to the state and local communities and can be conducted in a manner that is not harmful and may be beneficial to fish habitat and fish propagation. Any rule pertaining to recreation or small-scale mining adopted after the effective date of this 1999 Act shall be adopted in consultation with affected parties." And I think by my reading this short excerpt here that you can see that it is important that the mining community as a stakeholder be included in anything that can affect them. On the federal level, the Mining Act of 1872 is a unique law that vests an individual with a right to prospect and extract locatable minerals upon public lands. This right upon location is granted by Congress, which carries with it a property right protectable by the Constitution's Fifth Amendment. This location is a severance from ownership for the U.S., from the U.S. to a private party. That's why I told you that mining and prospecting is a right. It is a valid property right. A miner has every right to the property that he is mining on, as you do as a homeowner. That is your home. I mention these things to you because although you don't know it and the majority of the public does not know it, the mining community has gone through some very adverse effects. You sure you're not holding that time up that a minute too early, are you? I will have to wrap this up. There have been very adverse things that have happened to the mining community simply because people don't understand the nature of what we do. And I think if I could leave you with one of the most important things that I could impart to you today, I think it would be education. I am very encouraged by what I've seen at this conference in the 2 days that I've been here. I'm encouraged by what I see as a spirit of cooperation, a willingness to listen, a willingness to search for solutions, and I think the mining community would be well served to try to educate other stakeholders and try to educate the general public as to what it is they do. Mining is perceived as a nasty, dirty thing to do that harms the environment based on past mining practices of 80 to 100 years ago. But the fact of the matter is that suction dredge mining is the most environmentally friendly mining practice that exists in our country today. Thank you.